Monica watched as her abuelita raised her hand to hail a cab. She called out over the din of the bustle. Taxi after taxi raced past without stopping. 20,000 streets in New York City full of cabs, and I can't catch one. Monica shook her head. Abuelita, you know our hotel is only a couple blocks away. And because they hadn't packed much, they were used to living with very little, their luggage wasn't much of a burden. Her abuelita shrugged and said, I know, I just always wanted to hail a New York yellow. They started to move in the direction of their hotel. Monica, who had been absorbed in the scenery, stopped in her tracks. She grabbed her abuelita's arm and pointed upward. Her mouth hung open. In bright neon lights was the billboard for our time. Her production, in lights. A new wave of excitement came over her. Abuelita, look! Monica's abuelita clapped her hands together. Oh, Quita. Can we see the Ethel Merman Theater before we check into our hotel? It's only a few more blocks. Please? Monica's abuelita thought about the promise she had made to Monica's mother 9 hours earlier to go straight to the hotel. No sightseeing, Monica's mother had said. This is a work trip. All understudies were due at rehearsal at 8 o'clock sharp the next morning. And with the time difference, Monica would be jet-lagged and tired. She would need to rehearse her lines. Her voice needed to be rested. They had taken the red-eye because it was the cheapest, but it wasn't the most accommodating for anyone's sleep schedule or a singer's voice. Please, abuelita, Monica begged. We can be quick. Her abuelita responded with a clap. I have waited 67 years to see New York City. Why waste time napping in a hotel? Monica and her abuelita turned their course toward the theater, startling a flight of pigeons. Her abuelita looked at Monica and said like a sailor with a New York accent, Hey, why don't you look where you're going? You'd think it was your first time in New York. Monica started to laugh. She recognized the line right away. It was from the opening scene of one of their favorite musicals, the classic production, On the Town. Monica responded with the next line of the scene, saying in a goofy voice, It is! It is! Monica and her abuelita did a little dance right there in the street, and Monica couldn't believe she was actually dancing on Broadway.